Assalamu alaikum, good evening, and welcome to Legal Innovation and Technology web series. This is the sixth episode, and we have a very special guest with us today. And we're going to be talking about something that আমরা সবাই আজকাল অনেক বেশি এটাকে নিয়ে কথা বলছি। আমরা সব জায়গায় স্মার্ট বাংলাদেশ, স্মার্ট টেকনোলজি, স্মার্ট সিটিজেন, স্মার্ট ইকোনমি নিয়ে আমরা কথা বলছি, but what does it really mean if our legal sector is not moving or is not in synergy with with the developments in the technology field? So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'm Barrister Tasnuma Shelley, an advocate of the Supreme Court of Bangladesh. I've been in this profession for over 18 years. I'm very passionate about this profession, and I envision the future of smart Bangladesh where law and technology are working together. And I believe I'm glad that I have found a person who is with me today who believes in that vision too. So today's topic of our webinar is basically utilizing the synergy of law and technology to ensure equitable access to justice in this digital era. Let's face it, আমরা সবাই জানি আমরা কোনো না কোনো রকমের ইন্টারনেট ওয়েবসাইট ইউজ করে থাকি। It has become part of our lives. It has become part of our work, আমাদের বাচ্চাদের স্কুলের একটা পার্ট। সো সব জেনারেশনের সবাই কোনো না কোনোভাবে they are connected with the internet. And even in the remotest of the remotest area of our country, we see people using smartphones, and there is an entire village that actually pura economy runs on smartphones and social media content. So that is how they generate income. So we have really great success stories, and এই বছরের ইলেকশনের পরে আমরা দেখেছি যে সোশ্যাল মিডিয়ার ইম্প্যাক্ট অ্যাকচুয়ালি হ্যাজ is everywhere. Even আমাদের electoral processes has social media platforms made a huge impact on our electoral processes. So it made communication very easy, fast, effective. But with great power comes great responsibilities. So when we are moving so fast, আমাদের অবশ্যই মাথায় রাখতে হবে যে what are the challenges, what are the risks, because এটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমাদের বাংলাদেশের জন্য একার একটা প্রবলেম না। Globally, everywhere this transformation is happening. So Bangladesh কেন, why should we be left behind? Of course we are going to be welcoming this transformation, the technology revolution that's happening. However, we need to be very smart about it. We need to assess the challenges, identify the risks, and come up with solutions. Because, like I said, we are not the first country. We can learn from the mistakes from other countries, how they have addressed Asia challenges and risks, and make sure along the way আমরা যেন ওইসব ভুলগুলা থেকে ওইসব রিস্কগুলাকে নিজেদের জন্য মিটিগেট করতে পারি। উইদাউট ফার্দার অ্যাডু আমি অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমার গেস্টকে এখন ইন্ট্রোডিউস করাতে চাই, who wears multiple hats. Barrister Zishan Khan. He is, what can I say? He's an author. He's a storyteller. He's a journalist. He is a very good, he's been working for many years as a communication officer. And I'm so happy to see that he has also jumped on this journey um, to be a lawyer, a barrister. So I am so happy because I think I know you for last, I don't want to say the number of years because that will kind of
Give away our
indicate
age.
who we are. Yeah. But let's just say over 2 decades, easily over 2 decades. So I'm happy that we are doing this together, and I welcome you in this journey of this legal profession, which I love, which I'm very passionate about. And sometimes, it's like a love-hate relationship, but it's something I cannot imagine doing something else. I cannot imagine being someone else. So it's a great area to work on, and there's so much to work on. So I'm glad that I have found you who shares the same kind of sentiments and belief as I do, because it's very rare. You have recently done the BPTC from City University of London. You're a member of the Lincoln's Inn. You also did a postgraduate diploma in international relations. You actually have four masters. I thought
No,
I
no,
was
just
the
the one.
one.
I just have the one master.
And you studied in Australia, so you have been all over the world. You have, like I said, you have written books as an author. You have worked as a copywriter. You worked with the Rohingya team, and your entire career is really dynamic. And the new hat that you're wearing, uh, of a lawyer, it's just putting, giving this profession a new ideas that, I'm not stuck to one. Because storytelling, communicating is a very important quality that a barrister and a lawyer needs. I'm sure you have taken classes during your bar course, like,
Hmm.
effective communication, public speaking.
Hmm.
So I think you aced all those classes because you're a great storyteller. And
Right.
I want you to tell the audience what made you, because it's not easy, kind of in a later stage, learn something. So, welcome to
Thank
our
you.
my webinar series. And why don't you kind of start by telling me and also the audience, like, this last feather that you've put in your hat?
Uh, so thank you, Barrister Tasnova, for having me on your show. It's an honor to be welcomed into the legal fraternity, and you're far too kind with your praise. I have done a lot of things, not thinking that I was doing anything particularly remarkable, just things that excited me. I did, and you're right that I came to the law um, much later, but I felt, as you say, that I couldn't actually not, and I felt like as a person invested in justice and storytelling and truth telling, really, because that's really what journalism is also about. I felt like I would have to come into the legal space, and a lot of law is storytelling, because really, when you think about a presentation or a submission or a case, you are presenting a story of certain facts gathered, as evidence. So and you present a point of view, so it's not really that different from anything else I did before as a writer or a communication officer or even a journalist. So it really um, I mean, the my recent entry into the legal profession uh, it has been a pretty smooth transition so far. So thank you for.
No, this is great. Like it's an art, because when we are standing in front of a judge, we have to present our facts. We apply the facts of a particular case
Mhm,
with the legal provisions.
mhm,
So how you present your facts is
mhm.
a very important quality that every good lawyer needs to possess, because your client is actually kind of banking on you. Justice, whether he or she will get justice, banks on how you're presenting your fact and how you're analyzing your fact and how you're connecting that with the legal provisions, and that will actually ensure that your client gets justice. And you
Yes.
are actually one step ahead because you already have that quality in you, and
Mhm.
therefore reducing at the time, and reducing the gap towards achieving access to justice. And with that, I think I'm going to give you some data. This is what I do, which is going to shock some people. um, we have 1150 acts in Bangladesh. We
Hmm.
have laws about anything and everything. If you tell me that Bangladesh doesn't have the proper law, you're wrong. It has laws about anything and everything. However, where we lack is when it comes to implementation of it. And which is why another data that I'm going to share with you is, like, we have currently 44 million cases pending. So
Wow.
you can imagine that these 44 million people are not getting access to justice. There's a saying, justice delayed is justice denied. We read that, right?
Yes.
So imagine 44 million cases, and it's probably all of them are just doesn't have, if it even if it we think that it has one plaintiff and one defendant, but there are so many things, so many other people attached to it,
mm,
the plaintiff's family, the defendant's family. So if
mm,
we have 44 million cases pending
mm,
in our legal system, so
mm.
just you can just imagine the sheer volume of people
Right,
who are not whose access to justice are being delayed at this
right.
point. And like I said, we have read our jurisprudence that when justice is delayed, it is almost denied. So with that, I want to ask you, because I consider us this generation of lawyers, because actually we have seen the transition.
Mm.
We have seen video cassettes, like
Yes,
we had to
yes.
rewind forward. We
Mhm.
had seen VHS videos, then we have
Yes,
seen CDs, we have seen DVDs, and then now we have seen those big mobile phones, and now we see these smartphones. So we have actually seen that this generation has not, actually the Gen Z.
yes.
So I want to ask you, would do you think with with this data, with this number that I've given you, do you think it is time? Do you think digitalization of the legal sector is going to be beneficial, or it's high time that we,
Mm,
make that shift?
mm. So yeah, that's a really interesting question, and also when it's quite horrifying figures. That's that many people waiting to get justice. So I mean that really is a story about a case management system, isn't it? And the problem is our case management system uh, auto effective now, auto efficient now, and technology will very much bring that efficiency in if we can digitize our case management system. I wanted to also mention something because of I like in a way um I my age and my coming to the bar means that I'm new to the legal profession. So I did my Bangladesh bar exam and my BPTC in this generation with the Gen Zs. So so and it was a very interesting experience because I came back to an educational system many years later from আমি যখন আগে মানে পড়ছিলাম আমি যখন 20 year when I was a 20-year-old. তো
Tell us your
আহ,
experience with the Bangladesh Bar Council,
হ্যাঁ so
because
এটা
when
এটা
I went, আমারটার সময় actually everything was very much. I know, I hear it, because
হুম,
I also have a startup, a legal edtech, where we are
হুম, হুম,
promoting,
হুম,
e-learning platform.
হুম,
So I know a lot of work has been done, but during my time, I don't
হুম,
like long time ago, everything was manual. We
হুম,
had to fill up the form manually, we had to go submit it manually. So
হুম,
can you tell us the current bar council registration process? If you suppose, if you're sitting for an exam, like
হুম,
even today we are having the bar council viva exams,
হুম,
which is the third step. It's a lengthy process. There's a
হুম,
three step process to be licensed in the subordinate courts. Then after, you have to wait for a while. Then you go for your high court exam. Then again you wait for 10 years for your appellate division. So it's never ending for us, really.
হুম,
So
হুম.
tell us your experience on what you have seen, because I remember you telling me you were quite impressed. It was very efficient
Yes,
and fast. And can you tell our
yes.
audience how it has changed, or how you have seen it?
Yeah, so no, thank you. So ওইটাই যেটা বলতে চাচ্ছিলাম যে I was very impressed by how um, automated and digitized আমাদের registration process was. By the way, I want to say that I used your legal tech, your legal education technology while preparing for it. It was very good. ওটা বলতে চাচ্ছি it's also part of digitalization of the legal system or legal services in that sense because আমি আমার ফোনে বসে বা ল্যাপটপে বসে যে কোনো দেশে বসে আহ, পড়াশোনা করতে পেরেছিলাম যেটা হয়তো would not have been possible maybe a couple of years ago. Um, I was also abroad when I registered for my sitting, so that was interesting. আমাদের তো as it is in Bangladesh হঠাৎ করে বলে দিল যে এক মাস পরে পরীক্ষা হবে. So I was traveling at the time and I had to register within that week and I thought oh my god আমার তো এখন ঢাকায় যেতে হবে রেজিস্টার করতে হবে ঝামেলা করতে হবে তারপর আমার একটা কলিগ বললো যে না you can just go online. So I had already registered previously, so I submitted my documents earlier. Physically যেতে হয়েছিল ওটা এখনো আছে to submit your documents and to present your papers. But once you do that and you're registered, after that everything is automated. So I had a registration number which I inputted. My data was already in their system. Immediately it showed up. Um, I chose the year and all these things, and then sent the form. I was then sent an admit card, also digitally. I had to pay for it. I had to pay for the exam, also using my phone and online payment systems. I think it was QCash. I think we used. এটা করে তারপর আমাকে একটা ওটিপি দিল, ওটা মানে the whole thing was so well done that আমার even my center number and where I would have to go showed up on the bar council website. All I had to do was just walk into the exam, write the exam, or do the thing and leave. So it was really, I was impressed by how organized it was, how digitalized it was. আর যেটার কারণে কোনো ঝামেলা হয়নি, কোনো ধরনের ধাক্কাধাক্কি হয়নি, কোনো ধরনের মানে হুড়াহুড়ি পাড়াপাড়ি কিছু হয়নি. People just went in and did their exams and left. And the marking was also digital. I got the results the very day. Um, so it's impressive. I have to say, I don't think it would be different anywhere else in the world. So our মনে হচ্ছে যে in that sense we have come a long way. At least the bar council has, or is on the way to becoming quite a lot more digitalized and automated.
That is amazing, really. I mean, we didn't have any of that. We had to go collect or admit cards um, physically. It
Mm.
was not a digital print. There was no barcodes. We had to kind of, ওই যে কোন সেন্টার হবে, কখন হবে পরীক্ষা, ওইটা আমাদের মানে গিয়ে গিয়ে
Mm.
জানতে হতো। ওই যে বাইরে আগে যেরকম ছিল নোটিশ বোর্ড, নোটিস বোর্ড
Hi.
দেখানো হতো, and you go find আমার নাম্বারের রেজিস্ট্রেশনটা কোথায় পড়েছে, দেখতাম। I mean, it was just not us, it was happening in many
Everywhere. The
many
world was like that at the time. Yeah, the
places.
world was like that at the time.
So a shifter was like a very, like it was great. But then again,
Yes.
যেটা বললাম যে যারা আগের চ্যালেঞ্জেসটা ফেস করে নাই, they will probably know. But even with this shift, I think there is a lot more that we can do in
Absolutely.
terms of digitalizing. Because one
Absolutely.
thing is একটা তো হচ্ছে online registration, online payment,
Mm-hmm.
getting your center number. But
Mm-hmm.
what else? Because like I said, you have studied, and you have been in many jurisdictions.
Mm.
So, what more do you think we can do in
Mm.
terms of digitalizing the bar? Because
Mm.
I have also, like, done the bar exam in the United States,
Mm.
and for each state is different. It's
Mm.
crazy. Each state law is different. So
Mm.
before you decide where you want to practice, you have to decide which state. So
Mm.
এক একটা স্টেটের আবার ডিফারেন্ট ল। সো থ্যাংক গড আমাদের এই প্রবলেমটা নাই। বাট দেন এগেন দের ইজ ডিফারেন্ট বার ফর আমাদের
Mm.
এক একটা ডিস্ট্রিক্টের জন্য ডিফারেন্ট বার কাউন্সিল আছে,
Mhm.
যেখানে যে বারে তুমি প্র্যাকটিস করবে ওই বাইরে তোমার লাইসেন্স নিতে হবে।
Mhm.
সো ওয়াই ডোন্ট ইউ টেল আস যে আর কিভাবে, আর কি হলে তোমার মনে হতো যে এটা হয়ে যেতে পারতো, ওটা হয়ে যেতে পারতো? বিকজ আমরা কিন্তু
Mm.
কোভিডের সময় a lot of bar exams were done remotely.
Yes,
And
I
uh,
did mine remotely.
so there you go. So do you think we are ready? The Bangladesh Bar Council is ready, or have they done it? Because আমার actually জানা নাই। I think
Mm.
COVID এর সময় একটু সবকিছু একটু, like, people were kind of trying to figure out what's going on. But then
Mm.
again, we did have virtual court hearings. I mean, we had it in
Mm.
the States, but imagine
Mhm.
having virtual court in Bangladesh. I mean,
Mm.
we COVID kind of gave us that push.
Mm.
We did telemedicine, which was
Mm. Mm.
like impossible 10 years ago. If I told my parents, like, ডাক্তারের সাথে অনলাইনে কথা বলবো, they're like, what? Like, আমার পালস না দেখে কিভাবে আমাকে ঔষধ দিবে, পাগল নাকি?
Mhm.
So I have to go but now we do it. And in the same manner, like virtual court, I don't think even when Dr. Kamal Hossain was writing the constitution, he even
He
realized, or
imagined that.
yeah, imagine that one day Bangladesh will have, like, virtual hearings
Yeah.
in the courts. So
Yeah.
what are your take, like, what else can we do? Like I said, there are 44 million cases pending. Like,
Yeah.
এখন আমরা অনেক বলি এআই টুলস আছে, কন্ট্রাক্ট ম্যানেজমেন্ট সিস্টেম আছে, অনেক কিছু আছে।
Mhm.
So, but do you think the bar should be the one, who are these stakeholders? How can we push this? And, like, why do you think it's not happening? What are the challenges? like whatever little time that you have been in a profession, like, but you're very experienced, you have seen what happens all around the world. So we want your views on, what you see can be done, what are and what are the challenges, and how, who are the stakeholders actually deciding these things, and if we know the 44 million cases are pending, what's stopping us from
Hmm.
going to a contract management system.
Hmm. So, um, uh, I was going to say that you mentioned the the bar council during COVID. The UK bar during COVID, and I would like to. I mean, I am actually one of those people who did the bar exam ঢাকায় বসে, because COVID সময় travel করা যাচ্ছিল না, and all around the world, in fact, people did the bar who weren't in London physically, or in fact, even if they were in London physically, because কেউ সেন্টারে যেতে পারছিল না, uh, বাসায় বসে. So it was a relief and an experience. I thought I would have to wait another couple of years until we knew what was going to happen with COVID. So what an opportunity. And that But a lot of cyber security had to be built into that, because it's a legal exam, going around the world, people doing their exams from their homes to make sure they're not cheating. There was a camera on us the whole time, through your laptop. So you had to give control of your laptop over to the regulatory body, the UK, the BSB, um, and then they would be able to use your camera to make sure that you weren't cheating. There was the timekeeping was important. Also how you answered how the questions were set, and how the um, কি বলে এটাকে, how the answer script was designed. So I don't know if the Bangladesh Bar Council is yet there in terms of cybersecurity, or the technological processes that are required to ensure that level of veracity. You know, এটা বোধহয় বাংলাদেশের বার কাউন্সিল এখনো নাই, কিন্তু the stakeholders in this would be the education system. You would have educators who'd be involved in this. You'd have tech people involved in this. um, I think it would, like you mentioned, people who are doing the bar council, the Dhaka bar council exam from the other districts, they could do it from their homes. You know, so um, I do see a great role for, or a great use for, increased use of technology and um, algorithms, and all of this in the legal space. Sorry, I can't hear you.
You are actually right, because one of the key concerns for us was privacy. And I think even in the States, they were saying যে আমার বাসার প্রাইভেসি চলে যাচ্ছে, because you had to keep the camera on.
Hmm.
Yeah, you had to keep the camera on. You were not allowed to take breaks at
Yes.
that point.
Yes.
But they were giving you breaks after every intervals, because I also did
Hmm.
the California bar during the COVID, and
Hmm.
they were giving you breaks in terms of যে তুমি, so এখানে তখন অনেকগুলো ইস্যু চলে আসছিল. There were a lot of debates about um, এই যে তোমার এটাকে ওরা পুরোটা রেকর্ড করছে, the
Hmm.
entire duration that you're giving the exam, and these exams were like 3-4 hours.
Right.
It was a land.
Yes.
ও মানে
So
এজ
এখানে একটা
আউট।
ডেটা প্রোটেকশনের প্রশ্ন চলে আসছে.
হ্যাঁ, so
Sorry to interrupt you, but
প্রাইভেসি চলে আসতেছে।
yes.
So what do you think, like তাহলে মানে how else could we do it really?
Yeah. So I was also thinking about what you said about the telemedicine. Um, বাংলাদেশে তখন তো I wasn't in practice, so I don't know, but আমাদের এখানে কি um, ওরকম ভিডিও হিয়ারিং হয়েছিল কিনা, but uh, that really was a great advantage, because you can have a hearing with parties in very different countries, in different jurisdictions. You could still have them appear in front of a judge wherever they are. Even not just because of COVID, but for any time that could be useful. If you've got a party who's not in the country, or is unable to travel, you know, I think that the ability to do hearings online with sort of teleconferencing is very useful. But also, I think the other thing that's useful is also to be able to get legal services online. So you were mentioning how you were getting telemedicine services. In the future, it's very possible that we will see people, uh, you know, being connected to clients, lawyers and clients being connected via a platform where they can, you can call into this platform and say, I'd like to speak to a lawyer of this sort of persuasion. I'd like to speak to a, you know, um, a land lawyer, and then they connect you to that sort of a person. So, this is something that we will probably see in the legal, profession in the future.
Yes, that is actually how it should be in smart Bangladesh because
Hmm.
um, but then again যেটা আমরা বলছিলাম যে আমাদের ল সবকিছু নিয়েই আছে কিন্তু ইমপ্লিমেন্টেশন নাই। এই যে ডিজিটাল সিগনেচার, হ্যাঁ ডিজিটাল
Hmm.
সিগনেচার, তারপরে এই যে আমাদের ডিজিটাল এভিডেন্স, আমাদের এভিডেন্স
Hmm.
অ্যাক্ট, আমাদের অ্যাক্ট গুলা আসলে এত এনশিয়েন্ট.
Hmm.
They need, there are laws which are as old as 1867 which are good laws. I mean, come
Hmm.
on. For an example, like gaming, gambling, like when
Hmm.
the Gambling Act was made in 1867, nobody thought there will be online gambling.
Right.
um, Obviously, I mean, 1867 এ online wordটাই তো আমরা কেউ জানতাম না, so obviously it's not mentioned in the act. But
Right.
we see how it's having an effect, a ripple effect, because এখন online gaming, gambling is on the rise. We
Hmm.
also want it. Then again, it is very risky. It can be, we don't know what's happening. There's online betting, illegal betting, um
Hmm.
anti-money laundering,
Hmm.
counter-terrorism. Are we financing anti-terrorism? Because আমরা দেখাচ্ছে যে আমি একটা গেম খেলে I'm getting millions and millions of coins. So how
Hmm.
am
Hmm.
I converting it, converting those coins, and who's getting that, who's this winner? Because anywhere, anybody from Bangladesh can play these
Hmm.
online
Hmm.
games. And এখানে যেটা হয়ে
Well.
যায়, আবার লাইভ গেমসও আবার খেলতে পারি। I can be playing live games with somebody from another country, another jurisdiction. আমি জানি না সে
Hmm.
কে
Hmm.
or কি। সো ওইটা একটা
Hmm.
অ্যাঙ্গেল, বাট আমরা যেটাতে আজকের এখানে একটু ফোকাস করব, যেটা হচ্ছে যে আমাদের লিগ্যাল সেক্টর, আমাদের আম, এই যে যেটা বললাম যে সব এখন, আগে আমি আজকেও আরেকজনকে বলছিলাম যে আগে আইটি সেক্টর ওয়াজ সেপারেট, দিস ইজ দ্য আইটি ইন্ডাস্ট্রি, এটা আইটি
Right.
ইন্ডাস্ট্রি কাজ। কিন্তু এখন কিন্তু I can say that for sure every
No.
industry is somehow connected with the IT industry. I
Yeah.
cannot think of I cannot think of one industry, one sector which does not use one form, big or small. Like
Right.
something as small as I'm doing a SME, or I do business from a small Facebook page, to
Hmm.
starting to big conglomerates like power plants, or like garments with like 50,000 employees. They're all using some sort of technology solution, an ERP solution. So we can
Yeah.
see that technology is IT sector এখন আর আলাদা না, সব জায়গায় এখন টেকনোলজি হ্যাজ টেকেন ওভার। কিন্তু আমার খালি মনে হচ্ছে যে লিগাল সেক্টর, even though like you said, we have seen some good things. আমাদের ই ম্যানেজমেন্ট কেসেস আছে, আমাদের এখন একটা ওয়েবসাইট আছে যেখানে some cases, the latest cases গুলো আপডেটেড হয়, but it is still not in the same speed as it's happening in the
Right.
other sectors. For example, যেরকম এখন ব্যাংকস গুলাকে দেখো, most of the top commercial banks, they have an app. Then we have
Hmm.
thanks to these mobile financial services, this fintech industry, which is
Hmm.
again based on
Hmm.
technology. We are
Hmm.
in that era, like you can send money quickly, but and as soon as you do it, we cannot get it back. So আমার খালি মনে হচ্ছে যে আমাদের সব ইন্ডাস্ট্রি যেই স্পিডে
Hmm.
টেকনোলজিকে অ্যাডপ্ট করছে, legal
Hmm.
sector is not doing the same. They're very reluctant. um,
Hmm.
we have a National Cybersecurity Act. 80% of those cases are being dismissed because lack of evidence. um,
Hmm.
আমাদের অনেক সাইবার ক্রাইমস হচ্ছে, but we are not being able to catch and punish the perpetrators. And
Hmm.
আমি এখন দেখি যে হয়তো আমাদের সাইবার ট্রাইব্যুনালস করা এভরি ডিস্ট্রিক্টে, but
Hmm.
are they being properly trained, how
Hmm.
to identify digital evidence? Do they know what is digital forensics?
Hmm.
So if I don't understand digital forensics as a lawyer and as a judge, how
Hmm.
can I identify that there was a data breach, and there was a phishing, there was a hacking, and there was a digital crime, and
Hmm.
you have and the এই টাইপের জিনিস না, the losses are quantify করাটা financially, it's
Hmm.
also hard. Like how, like recently, one of a very popular guy, he's a young guy, everybody knows him, he's kind of like a celebrity, his
Hmm.
account was hacked,
Hmm.
and it was alleged that he was taking money from other people and selling them board exam question papers. These are
Hmm.
serious crimes.
Hmm.
So imagine এখন আমি, okay fine, I caught it, who finally got hold of it, but আমি তাকে পানিশমেন্ট, আমার কতটুকু লস হয়েছে,
Hmm.
how do I quantify আমার reputation, আমার damage? Because with the internet, with the technology, everything is moving so fast, going all around the world.
Hmm.
So মানে আমি আমার ড্যামেজ কিভাবে কোয়ান্টিফাই করব? সো এই এই আমাদের এই লিগ্যাল সেক্টরটা, why do you think they're not moving at the same speed um, as the other industries?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the legal profession is generally a little bit more historical minded generally than many other professions. So it's rooted in traditions, very stuck to the idea of things having a certain way of doing things, which is very legal heritage and all these things. So it's not about auto innovation hoina, as you would have in many other spaces. Um, as you were talking, I was thinking about the various ways in which tech and the law intersect actually. So actually দুই ধরনের কথা বলছিলাম, সেটা হচ্ছে যে cyber crimes and how to sort of legislate about those, and the other thing is about how we can increase the use of technology in the legal space itself. So, in terms of utilizing more tech, I think you mentioned apps. I think like a sort of a case management docket system that can be on a chambers. Each chambers can have one, that can correspond with um, the judiciary and the court system, where you can see, you can have a queue, you can have an app where you can check whether there's a space in the court docket for you to submit a case in that week or the next week. I mean, this would really help in terms of case management, a digitalized version of sort of a docket system. um, I don't know how that works. I'm not an IT person. There would be a really difficult money, many faceted. You'd have the courts involved, you'd have the judicial administration, the bar council, you'd have all of these things involved, as well as chambers and lawyers individually. So I don't know how that would work, but that's one way I could imagine tech working with the law. Also, in terms of evidence gathering, এখানে একটা কথা বলছিলাম about how to make sure that there's no fraud, because it's very difficult in the age of deep fake and AI, where you can, someone can be made to have said something live on camera which he never said or she never said. Once this sort of thing enters the legal space, it becomes very complicated in terms of authenticating your evidence. But hobby, we need to be ready for this. It will happen. That if the legal system doesn't have a way to manage, a way to identify, or a way to distinguish between evidence that's probably fabricated versus evidence that's not fabricated, তাহলে তো we won't be able to deliver justice কোনো ধরনের। um, এটা আরেকটা। তারপরে ভাবলাম যে um, sorry, I've lost my chain of thought there. Um, oh, with the use of video technology as well, you expand the public gallery, don't you? You make justice more accessible visually, more accessible. Many people can see justice, can be seen to be done, as the expression goes. So these are many ways in which I think tech can get involved with law. Um,
That is actually, all of that is true, and I, if I can add to everything, যে আমাদের অ্যাকচুয়ালি দরকার যেটা, যেটার কারণে আমি মনে করি, আই হোপ আই ক্যান গেট মোর পিপল ইন, অ্যাকচুয়ালি হচ্ছে, এটা হচ্ছে যে there are very not that many people.
hmm,
I mean, I cannot get 100 people in to get in a room and say they believe in legal tech or they understand
right,
legal tech.
right.
So that is one problem. And another problem is, we don't want change. We are very rich in terms of tradition. Okay, so and Jara already we are who are actually we're kind of used to the way things are. Like, we are
Yeah.
used to writing in paper, handwriting, and doing this, making submissions in this way and that way. Even though,
Yeah.
the virtual court hearing rules that was made, and it is still there. It's not like they said COVID নাই এখন আর virtual hearing হবে না. কিন্তু
Hmm.
maximum of us, we don't leverage on that, because ওই যে nobody wants the change.
Hmm.
We're happy with the way things are. So এখানে I see a lot, মানে কারণটা হচ্ছে it's readiness, of the system, the readiness, or
Hmm.
like যেটা বললাম যে reluctance of people to learn something new. আমি তো খুশি আছি যেভাবে চলতেছে। ওই হাতে
Right.
লিখে হাজিরা দিচ্ছি, হচ্ছে তো। এটারে কেন একবার আবার তুমি অ্যাপের মধ্যে আমাকে I have to learn something new. I don't want to. I'm happy the way things are. So, which is why
Yeah.
actually that was one of the reason I realized this challenge. It's not like, they don't agree to any of this. They agree to it. It's just that they don't want to be the
Hmm.
movers or the change makers. They're very comfortable with they are,
Well,
which is
আমাদের
why,
দেশে
হ্যাঁ, which is why actually আমার মনে হচ্ছিল যে
sorry,
আমার
sorry.
এই tech platformটা I created so that the new generation of lawyers, I wanted to focus on the new generation of lawyers, because by 2041 I don't know if we will be there, but I'm hoping that if I can somehow get the young lawyers to be so comfortable with using tech in terms of studying, in terms of living their life, and be comfortable in using DocuSign, digital signature. People are reluctant. We don't have
Hmm.
DocuSign. And আমি
Hmm.
যদি ওদেরকে এখন থেকে একটু ডিপেন্ডেন্ট করাতে পারি on, like, using
Hmm.
technology for their daily life, in few years time we will be where California is. Like, it's going to be
Hmm.
these lawyers who are going to be making apps. It's going to be these lawyers who are
Hmm.
going to be like, promoting virtual law firms. Because right now, let's be honest, if I ask you, will you go to a virtual law firm if you have a legal problem?
Uh, Probably not, because I'd rather speak face to face with a lawyer. But similar to what you were saying about telemedicine, like that's what I sort of meant. That this virtual law firm where, you have an app or a website where you can say, "I'd like to speak to a lawyer, a land lawyer or a criminal lawyer," and that person can show up on a screen just like this one and give the legal advice. You can even see things like lawyers in many ways getting phased out. In JKNA, there's a possibility of um, a chatbot creating probability scenarios for you. So you could say, "This is the evidence. I'm totally I'm a legal. What are my chances? What are my and it can give you a probability, which is a conversation that's happening a lot in the US about whether tech will replace a lot of legal services, which is also possible. But আমার মনে হয় যে certain kind of evidence advice giving একটা machine হয়তো করতে পারবে না. I'm hopeful. um, I wanted to say something about you were saying about the new generation lawyers. So I find myself more, increasingly using Chat GPTs just to talk about sort of technology that can drive, আমার অনেক প্রাথমিক level of research I do through Chat GPTs. I would, you know, no, and then I will take that information and verify it, and then create a more human touch, a more human আমার legal expertise add করে an opinion or an advice. So you were saying about এত slowly করে যে Bangladesh is so stuck in this old way of doing things. But if we have a increased case management system where the speed increases, where you have to dispose of your cases faster, you'll have to adopt things like ChatGPT to do your research. You'll have to use tech to write rather than writing it by hand. So এভাবেই হয়তোবা the change will come.
And you are actually right. That is where I'm going to talk about next, because এই যে AI, প্রথমে যখন
Hmm.
টেকনোলজি আসছিল, এই যে ERP সলিউশন আসছিল, সবাই everybody got scared that when you use
Hmm.
the solution সবার চাকরি চলে যাচ্ছে, চাকরি চলে যাবে, unemployment আসবে, people will lose their jobs, blah blah blah.
হ্যাঁ,
এই যে AI আসলে lawyers will lose their job, but that is not the case at all. Like,
true.
but একটা good example আমি তোমাকে দিতে পারি, because like I said, I do a lot of research. I spend a lot of time on these things. um, Artificial intelligence এর জন্য, like, um, California is one of those states who's very advanced. Like, আমাদের সব technology, everything is like, the brainchild. So এই যে
Right.
artificial intelligence যখন introduced হলো, so আমরা সবাই বলছিলাম যে লয়াররা এখন সব চলে যাবে। The এখন the um, there are new artificial intelligence yes যেখানে তোমার they pass the California bar exam,
So,
which
but
is the hardest.
robots are passing the exam.
Yeah, it is the hardest bar exam in the whole world. Take it
Yeah.
from me. So they're
Hmm.
passing these bar exams, so they know a lot of it depends on human intervention. Like, what data sets I'm giving input to. What am I
Hmm.
teaching them? So আমাদের কিন্তু artificial intelligence থেকে এখন চলে আসে generative AI. So before, artificial intelligence meant that whatever data I'm giving, ও ওইটাই আমাকে faster দিবে. But with
Hmm.
then there we have generative AI. That means what? So if I give them more data sets, more information, more, আমি ওকে তারও বেশি ডেটা ফিট করি, ও আমার জন্য নতুন জিনিস একদম কমপ্লিটলি নিউ
Hmm.
আইডিয়া, রাইট আপ, ইমেজ, মিউজিক জেনারেট করে দিবে। So
Hmm.
ওইটার সাথে এখন আবার চলে আসে, will there be conflict with the intellectual property rights? Is there a
Yeah.
conflict with
Yeah.
copyright? Is there a conflict with our patent? But then
Right.
again, should we stop that? However, we see um, the advantage of it. Like, AI is coming up with solutions to many uncurable diseases, because they're getting lots of data and they're doing it faster. যেটা আমার
Hmm.
হিউম্যান ইন্টারভেনশন হলে আমার হয়তো 5 বছর লাগতো, ও এটাকে
Right.
আরো ফাস্টার করছে। বাট দেন এগেন, আমার এখানে জানার হচ্ছে যে আমি আমি যে ডেটাটা দিচ্ছি, যে মানুষটা এই ডেটা ইনপুট দিচ্ছে on that system, like, am I feeding them any biased information, so that আপনার
Right.
আউটকামটা biased আসবে? অ্যান্ড যদি আমি বলি যে ওকে ফাইন, একটা এআই টুল দিয়ে একটা নতুন একটা জিনিস ইনভেন্ট হয়েছে, একটা কিওর,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
who owns the IP to that? Like,
Hmm.
একটা artificial intelligence, মানে সে কি, can they be an owner of an intellectual property, an invention?
Hmm.
Or will it be the person who did the input, or will it be the company that actually
Hmm.
financed this in research and development for years? So these are all, like, up in the air at this point, that needs to be addressed.
Right.
So but we are kind of a bit behind, বলবো না, আমার worry হচ্ছে the world is moving so fast. If
Right.
Bangladesh doesn't catch up, and the legal system, especially the legal sector, doesn't catch up, um,
Hmm.
the criminals are getting smarter
Hmm.
day by day. So the
Hmm.
story I was telling you, যে এখানে একটা celebrity টাইপের একজন মানুষের অ্যাকাউন্টে হ্যাক হয়েছে,
Hmm.
and he was doing criminal activities
Hmm.
using that profile একদম realistic ভাবে. That person was only educated, মানে class 5 pass,
Hmm.
but he was a tech savvy person.
Yes.
So he kind of completely, ওর ফেসবুক প্রোফাইল যেসব ইভেন্টেও যাচ্ছে, ওইসব ইভেন্টকে নিয়ে আসতেছে, যেসব ছবি ওর ওখানে আছে, সো পিপল আর লাইক ফিলিং লাইক ইট ইজ হিম। সো
Hmm.
ইমাজিন দ্য এই যে হাউ ইট ক্যান হ্যাভ অ্যান ইম্প্যাক্ট। সো এখন আমার লিগাল সেক্টর, আমার লয়ার্স
Hmm.
যদি অ্যাট দ্য সেম স্পিড স্মার্ট না হয়,
Hmm.
মানে আমার criminals are getting smarter, but my judiciary and my legal sector is not, and I don't want that to happen.
Hmm.
It is completely unacceptable to me. So if we have the law, I am not saying we don't have the law, we
Hmm.
have the legal mechanism. So what is stopping us? Why cannot we welcome change? Of course, I think everybody's talking about it. I don't know if you've heard our personal data protection act, which we've been talking about for the last 2-3 years. It still hasn't been passed, but it is kind of in the final stage. But there are
Hmm.
many controversies regarding it. Then last month, actually, our law minister announced that we will have an artificial intelligence act.
Hmm.
And recently, during before the election campaigns, I saw some videos about what does the government mean by smart Bangladesh. What does
Hmm.
it mean by smart citizen? So some of the experts kind of said that they will be using artificial intelligence uh, for predicting outcome of cases, so that
So what, you have
case
virtual judges now?
they
Uh,
so that they can no, you have to train them.
right. Yeah.
We have to train them. So who is going to train them? So our Data Protection Act kind of says every single organization needs to have one data controller or a data officer. So who
Hmm.
is going to be this privacy manager or data officer?
Hmm.
Where are we going to get them? How do we train them? um, কোনো স্কুলে
Hmm.
কোথাও কি পড়াচ্ছে how to be a privacy officer or a data manager? What is a metadata?
And
Like,
what does
ask
it mean to be
somebody.
a data? And what does it mean to be a data controller? What are your obligations? What are your, you know, if you know what sort of data needs to be reported? What sort of data is absolutely, enjoys full privilege. So you have to give me 1 second. My laptop's about to die. I'm a charge it to yesterday. After second though. Okay.
No problem. But while that is happening, this is you are actually from Gen Z, Zishan, not prepared. But this is a question I think my viewers can also think about, that are we actually ready for a change? Are we ready to accept that new technologies will come, and we will have to kind of change our mindset and adopt and learn to use technology, learn to use these case management systems, learn to use these artificial intelligence tools. And to a certain extent, the example I wanted to give was, in California, the State Bar of California,
Hmm.
they have prepared a guideline. They are actually allowing the licensed California attorneys to
Hmm.
use they have declared it to use AI
Hmm.
during their way when providing legal services to their clients. But they have kind of structured, given a guideline that কিভাবে কিভাবে তুমি করতে পারবা, এবং at the
Hmm.
end তোমাকে ভেরিফাই করতে হবে, because let's face it, you will save time. So ওখানে তো
Hmm.
hourly bill করো. So if
Hmm.
you're saving time using artificial intelligence, at the end of the day your client is being benefited, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
যেটার
Yes.
একটা রিসার্চ করতে তোমার ধরো 3 দিন লাগতো, you can do that in 3 hours. So why
Yes.
shouldn't you? So they have kind of used a comparative analysis where the code of ethics of an attorney are
Hmm.
not being compromised while using the AI tool within that framework, which I thought was amazing, and which is why I love California, because they are always few steps ahead from the rest in terms of adopting technology. And
Right.
they were the first state to adopt a privacy act of their own. Now I think many others have jumped on that wagon. Many other will. So
Yeah.
এই এই যে আমরা, লাইক আই সেড, আমি বলছি যে um, আমরা উই আর নট, আমাদেরকে আমি খারাপ বলছি না, কিন্তু আমার জাস্ট মনে হচ্ছে যে ইটস নট দ্যাট উই ডোন্ট হ্যাভ লজ অর বাট আই থিঙ্ক
Hmm.
আমাদের ওই মাইন্ডসেটটাকে একটু চেঞ্জ করতে হবে। বিকজ এই জন্য আমি ফোকাস করছি অন দ্য নিউ জেনারেশন। বিকজ আমি
Hmm.
যদি এখন থেকে ওদের মাইন্ডসেটটাকে কাইন্ড অফ টেল দেম অ্যান্ড শো দেম অ্যান্ড এক্সপ্লেন
Hmm.
ইট টু দেম that merging law and technology is the future.
Yeah.
Technology, and if you merge law and technology and reduce the gap, that is the way to ensure access to justice. Justice, like I said, justice will be faster. So, and that is the kind of smart Bangladesh I want to see, I want to be part of. Even if I'm not part of, I don't know if I'll stay alive till 2041,
Inshallah.
but I just want to build in this idea যে
Yeah.
যতদিন পর্যন্ত ল অ্যান্ড টেকনোলজি মার্জ না হবে,
Hmm.
লিগাল টেক, এই 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 জিনিসটা যতদিন না হবে,
Yeah.
আমাদের এই স্মার্ট বাংলাদেশের ভিশন পুরাপুরি কমপ্লিট হবে না। বাট দেন দ্য গভর্নমেন্ট ইজ ডুইং আ লট অফ ওয়ার্ক। দেয়ার ইজ আ
Yes.
national strategy for artificial intelligence in Bangladesh. Bangladesh has it. It's been there since 2020. Like I said, আমাদের ল রেগুলেশন পলিসির কোনো অভাব নাই, we have it,
Hmm.
but we don't implement it
Hmm.
because like I said, we are still stuck with old 1800 laws. We are comfortable there. So um, we need people like you and others, I mean, to
I'm your
kind of
generation. We
follow
need people
this.
from younger, the new generation.
No, you are from Gen Z.
No, no. I wish. I wish. No, I was going to say that another thing that even একদম একটা basic মানে legal tech জায়গা থেকে যেখানে like uh, things like LexisNexis and Westlaw that we used when we were in the UK, you know, to search for cases. We don't have anything even remotely similar in Bangladesh for our legal, precedents. You know, you have basic, digitalized versions, but it's not search optimized. It's not search engine optimized. I can't. There's no algorithm working behind it. I can't find laws just by typing in a search or keyword. তো এই বেসিক স্পেসেও তো আমাদের টেক এখনো আসেনি, যেখানে আমরা ইভেন জাস্ট সার্চিং আপ কেসেস, দ্য amount of time you would save in searching cases, and precedents and authorities using algorithms and AI, which a lot of other jurisdictions have been using for already decades now, or at least a decade. So এই ধরনের জায়গায় তো আমাদের এখন আসার অনেক দেরি আছে। তারপর থেকে ওখান থেকে টু কাম টু দ্য প্লেসেস দ্যাট ইউ আর টকিং অ্যাবাউট is still a long way, but I think that's the only way.
That is the only way, and you're right. Like এখনো যদি আমার, imagine doing a case research on a particular matter, একটা copyright matter, আমার
হুম,
এখন ডিএলআর বসে বসে খুঁজতে হবে এভরি ইয়ার।
হ্যাঁ,
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 and সবগুলো আসলে রিপোর্টেড হয় না। How
হ্যাঁ,
do I ensure all the judgments are reported? And
এক্সাক্টলি।
আমাদের আছে একটা বাংলাদেশের জন্য, but that is also not owned by a local company. That is
মানবপত্র।
also মানপত্রের একটা আরেকটা লোকাল ভার্সন আছে আমাদের জন্য,
আচ্ছা।
বিডিলেক্স।
ও
But then
বিডিলেক্স,
again,
হ্যাঁ,
it's
হ্যাঁ।
part of, yeah, which is part of Manupatra. But
হুম,
then
হুম।
again, it is not a local based company.
Plus
Uh,
BDLex doesn't have search engine optimization. You basically have scanned versions of a lot of the DLR, and you can find it online, but it's not optimized. You can't search by, is it good law? There's no traffic light system. Not it'll কিছু নাই। So
no, you are right, but it is a lot of work to come
yeah,
up with something. And
right.
basically, like I said, nobody wants to do it because we are happy with the way things are,
Yes.
even
Yes.
though it takes time. So আমি এখন আমার ক্লায়েন্টকে অনেকক্ষণ বলতে পারবো, ভাই আমার রিসার্চ করতে 3 দিন সময় লাগবে।
বিল
আই
করতে
ক্যান
পারবো
টেল।
3 দিনের জন্য।
হ্যাঁ, সো এই জিনিসগুলা থেকে আমাদের আসলে বার হয়ে আসতে হবে। I want people to work smart, not
হুম,
hard. Like in
হুম,
smart Bangladesh, you cannot be working hard. You need to be working smart, and that goes for every single
হুম,
sector, not just the legal sector. If everybody's working smartly, why can't we? Why do
absolutely.
we have to make it a point that আমার এখন, because the legal profession has evolved. এখন আগে
Yes.
আমরা লয়ার মানে কি ভাবতাম, কি জানতাম, একজন ব্যারিস্টার, ও মাই গড ব্যারিস্টার আসছে ভাই, দাঁড়ায় যাও সবাই। এখন
হ্যাঁ,
nobody thinks of things like that. And একজন
তাই তো।
লয়ার, হ্যাঁ, লয়ারের জন্য এখন, আগে অনেক ইট ওয়াজ আ ভেরি রেসপেক্টেবল প্রফেশন। লাইক আই এম সরি টু সে, এখন মানুষ লয়ারদেরকে নিয়ে অনেক ব্যাড জোকস বলে, অনেক ডিমিন করে। আই
হুম,
রিয়েলি ডোন্ট লাইক দ্যাট বিকজ,
হুম,
and I don't also blame them because they probably have experienced মানে bad experience. মানে one
হুম,
rotten apple can actually basically rot the entire basket. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? সো ওরকম একটা সিচুয়েশনে আমরা আছি। এখন আমরা যদি তাদেরকে অ্যাকাউন্টেবল না করি, ইউনো,
হুম,
আমরা যদি তাদেরকে অ্যাকাউন্টেবল না করি, আমাদের যদি কন্টিনিউয়াস লিগাল এডুকেশন বার
হুম,
কাউন্সিল ম্যান্ডেট না করে,
হুম,
আমরা যদি continuously updated না থাকি with the new
হুম,
laws, with the new trends, with the
হুম,
new uh, crimes, the new trends of crimes
হুম,
that's
হুম,
happening.
হুম, হুম,
এখন আর আগে কেউ ছাদের কাপড় চুরি করে না। কেউ এখন আর বাসের মধ্যে ওয়ালেট চুরি করে না। চুরি করে তোমার পিন নাম্বার, তোমার
হ্যাঁ,
Facebook profile,
হ্যাঁ,
your
হ্যাঁ,
ID. So
হ্যাঁ,
how, if I'm not updated on how to handle
right.
these, how will I, solve these problems? আমি আগের ওই সিভিল মামলা দিয়ে ৩ বছর লাগায় I cannot like এখনকার generation wants instant results, like আমি এখন অর্ডার করব সবকিছু
Hmm.
ইনস্ট্যান্ট, আধা ঘন্টার মধ্যে তোমার গ্রোসারি চলে আসতেছে, আর
Hmm.
24 hours এর মধ্যে তোমার দারাজ থেকে ডেলিভারি চলে আসতেছে, তুমি you're topping up your phone in seconds, you're transferring money from one to another in seconds, and for
Hmm.
justice I have to wait for years and years and years.
That's
Come
crazy.
on,
Yeah.
এটা কোনো রকমের কোনোভাবেই মানে সামান্য সামান্য এই যে ব্যালেন্সটা হচ্ছে না।
Honestly, not. হ্যাঁ,
why
ঠিক।
this why legal sector কে এরকম ভাবে আলাদা করে দেওয়া হচ্ছে, and কেন আমরা একই স্পিডে সব সেক্টরের সাথে আগাতে পারছি না? আমার
হুম।
এইটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি I feel frustrated, but then again I feel like I've taken it as a agenda and a goal that একা একা থাকলেও আমি বলতে থাকবো। I really feel like I'm actually cutting my own road and walking, because like I said, you also agreed with me. We cannot find 100 people who understands legal tech
No. So
and
I mean,
its benefits.
you're talking about deep legal reform, basically, which will take when we'll have to be overhauling the whole
Realistic.
legal
You
system.
have to be realistic.
No, not realistic. Now, I'm saying that's going to really take a lot of work because we're talking about overhauling the entire legal system and bringing an entire case management system, a technology, continuous education. That could be important when a lawyer is relicensed every প্রত্যেক বছর যখন they should have to take a test. They should be made to take a test that requires them to be cognizant of new laws, new developments in technology or whatever. Then ওদের স্বর্ণটাকে আপডেট করা হবে। মানে এগুলো যদি মানে this will take a lot of work, but it's absolutely necessary. Otherwise, the legal system will not be able to deliver justice at pace, and that's very important.
Okay, I think Amader, we are almost at the end of our um,
Yes.
1 hour. I don't know how we finished 1 hour. You were saying that 1 hour, Kibulba, I told you it's just gonna
What are we
fly.
going to talk about? Hey.
Yeah, I don't think I'm even half done about what are the things that we can do, and how I want to see what is the true meaning of smart Bangladesh from this legal aspect. Like there's so many things that can be done, and I hope, and I do hope, and I am hopeful that it is going to happen. It has to happen. Like
Yeah.
something as simple as like DocuSign, um, signing an agreement between two parties who are living in two
Parts
different
of the world. Yeah.
jurisdictions. It
Yeah.
takes. Why should it be so complicated?
Yeah.
Why? um,
Yeah.
I mean, and then we are also saying at the same time we want foreign investment. We don't have foreign reserve. There's money going out, not coming in. There's online betting, and we're making these restrictions again because, like I said, our population doesn't have faith যে আমি এখন ডিজিটাল সিগনেচার দিব, আমার এই সিগনেচার তো চুরি করে।
Huh. And who can blame them? You can't blame them because we don't have the processes or the systems that can ensure that it হবে না.
সো
So
আমার রিসোর্সেস ডেভেলপ করতে হবে, যেটা আমি বলছি যে আমার রিসোর্সেস ডেভেলপ করতে হবে লোকালি, যে
হ্যাঁ,
আমার প্রত্যেকটা স্কুল ইউনিভার্সিটিতে আমার সাইবার ল পড়াতে হবে সবাইকে,
হ্যাঁ,
whichever whichever international relations পড়ো তুমি,
হুম,
journalism, it's not just এখন paper based, everything is
হুম,
online.
হুম,
So, to me, whether you're a communications officer, a journalist, or a lawyer, or a constructor, or whoever, you're working in a bank, Shabar cyber laws should be mandatory. And
হুম,
there should be a uniform curriculum
হুম,
for all schools, all technology. এখন basic এই যে যেটা বলছিলাম যে digital literacy is mandatory.
হুম,
And which digital literacy আমাদের লকেও বলতে হবে যে in case you do not, in case you fail to comply or take advantage of all this, these are going to be some severe punishments, because we follow the British legal system. Our legal system based on precedents. We don't have a precedent.
হুম. And even if
So
we don't know how to find it because we don't have a search engine that can tell me how to find it. So
না, এই ডিজিটাল সাইবার ক্রাইম নিয়ে আসলে we don't have a precedent
yeah.
yet,
Hmm.
which should put them in place, that uh, but like I said, it's a mix of everything. We have to kind of work together. There are many stakeholders involved.
Hmm.
So they all need to come together. It's not an easy task. এটা এক রাতে হবে না,
Hmm.
একদিনে হবে না. It's changing, like I said, it's changing the mindset of an entire nation. So
Hmm.
this is just the beginning.
Hmm.
But I do see it happening, because if we are going to be, a digital Bangladesh থেকে এখন আমরা যদি স্মার্ট বাংলাদেশের দিকে যেতে চাই, this change is inevitable, and now the way I look at it, it's only a matter of time. And
Hmm.
I love the fact that, our ICT ministry, he's a lawyer.
Ah,
He's an advocate of Supreme Court. Yeah. So
I
I'm
didn't know it.
so glad that, we have, good leaders in place like him. And
Hmm.
I had the opportunity to closely work with the ICT ministry, and they are so advanced. They know everything. They have the top notch technology. But
Hmm.
again, like, we need more. We have to develop more resources. Like I said, a cyber law mandatory করতে দিতে হবে আমার প্রত্যেকটা
Hmm.
ইউনিভার্সিটিতে, ফর এভ ডাজন্ট ম্যাটার তুমি কোন কোন এরিয়াতে পড়তে চাও,
Hmm.
সবার জানতে হবে সাইবার ল। ইউ শুড নো, সবার জানতে হবে যে ইউ ক্যানট, ইউ নো কারো ফেক প্রোফাইল তুমি আপলোড করতে পারবে না। সবার
Hmm.
জানা উচিত যে কারো ফেসবুক প্রোফাইলের আইডি চুরি করতে পারবে না, কারো পিন
Hmm.
নাম্বার চুরি করতে পারবে না। পাবলিক ওয়াইফাই ইউজ করার কি রিস্ক, এটা
Hmm.
সবার জানা উচিত,
Hmm. Hmm.
বাট
Hmm.
এটা সবাই জানে না। So
Understood.
with that, I think we will have to end this session, and you can, if you have any last advice, or how your experience was talking to me or about this, we can please share with us, and or any advice for the audience who are watching this.
No, so thank you for this wonderful opportunity. I was going to add one more thing, just in context of a global context. I mean, with the horrible thing that's happening in Palestine, and there's the case in the ICC against Israel. Um, so there is an agreement. I think there's a agreement called the IIIM. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but where you are allowed to use social media as documentary evidence. So the ICC opened a portal or a link on their website where people from around the world, particularly in Gaza and Palestine, could send documentary evidence, including things like TikTok, things like YouTube, things like just reels, whatever, as evidence of crimes being committed. So this sort of thing, um, alongside very strong cybersecurity and digital forensic mechanisms, so that you can tell if it's a real, if it's a fake or if it's not fake, or if it's artificially intelligence generated or real. Uh, এগুলো যদি, this access to justice, sort of crowdsourcing evidence, if you like, is a very important, addition to the digital space. So ওটা the last sort of last words দিতে চাচ্ছিলাম. Um, and otherwise, thank you very much for having me on your show. It's really an opportunity. It's a privilege. I mean, as a newly minted lawyer, or to be, or barrister, to be included among, this kind of conversation about where the law is going makes me feel quite privileged, in fact, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. So thank you, and everyone keep watching the show. It's a wonderful show.
Thank
Um,
you, everyone. Thank you, Barrister Zishan Khan. Like I said, it was wonderful having you. And like I said, I'm glad you have entered in this, in this field. And it's I and our viewers, if you have any questions, comments, do write to us. Do give your comments, and share whatever topics you wanna us to talk about in because it's a webinar series which we do bi-weekly every month. So tune in for the next one. And thank you, Zishan, once again.
my
And
pleasure.
thank you,
Thank you.
everyone, for watching. Bye bye. Good night.
Good night.